Have you ever read a book that helped you to connect the dots between several unanswered questions in your area of specialization? Have you ever read a book that made you feel like, oh, thank God, I am not the only person who thinks like this? That's exactly how I felt when I read The Moral Molecule by Dr. Paul J. Zak. By the time I saw his other book on the trust factor, I was already sold out. I revered his ability to write. I revered his ability to communicate science with stories. And so I was super excited that he gave me some of his time to talk about his work. His body of work is fascinating. If you like storytelling, his body of work is uplifting. So I can't wait to share this with you. This is Gideon Fumukwai on the Story Warrior podcast. Please watch this to the end. A true unsung hero, one person at a time. Phenomenal young man. My name is Gideon Fumukwai, the Story Warrior. One of my best books is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. But when I read The Moral Molecule, it got me thinking, man, this has got to be better than The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Even though it is not as humorous, it's not as funny, but it had something special about the human mind, about the human heart. This is the Story Warrior podcast, where we try to unpack ideas that can change the way that you build teams, the way that you transmit ideas, and yes, the way that you sell to those who are in need of your services. Today, I am so lucky, so fortunate to have Dr. Paul J. Zak, who is a neuroscientist or a neuroeconomist based in California, and he's the author of many books. One of them, The Trust Factor. This is the second one that I read, and he's gone on to do so many other projects, but the first two are my favorite, Moral Molecule and The Trust Factor. Dr. Zak, good afternoon. Where are you joining from today?
I am in California, Southern California. Thank you.
Southern California at this time of the year, that should be very beautiful.
Very nice. Well, it's nice in Texas too.
Yes. I'm in Dallas today, and a little bit close to 100 degrees, so not as cool as Southern California. But today, I really want us to benefit from your research, your knowledge about the workings of the human brain, the human heart, and how ideas get transmitted in the modern workplace. How did you get started? Because I know you probably studied economics, you studied mathematics. How did you get started? How do you go from economics to completely a different field where you're now looking into the human mind and the human heart, and you became known as Dr. Love?
Yeah. As an undergraduate, I also did a degree in mathematical biology. So I thought somehow if I combine economics and biology, I could be a better scientist, and did postgraduate training in neuroimaging. So I was always on this quest to really understand human beings as a living organism. Economics, they call these agents. I don't know what an agent is, but I'm interested in humans and the variety of the human experience. And so when we run experiments and ask people why they made a decision, they really couldn't tell us. And so almost in desperation, we thought, okay, we have to actually measure the driver of what people are doing. And that driver is not open to their conscious awareness. And so I've really become an economics apostate. I think that assuming human beings know what they're doing and are making informed decisions, many times we don't. We just go with our gut instinct and we don't know why we do what we do. Yeah. But neuroscience reveals the underlying causal factors.
Yes, indeed. So that's what pulled you into that direction, because of your curiosity to understand the human mind and how it works.
Yeah, and really with a focus on good behavior. The bad behavior gets all the press and things like being afraid and being aggressive. But really, my work started, as you know, with focusing on trust and other kind of positive behaviors. We trust strangers all the time. It's the only way we can live in cities, work in offices. We're constantly around strangers, which is very, very unusual for most animals. That we don't not only tolerate strangers, we actually enjoy being around strangers, right? It's like, oh, fun, I'm going to a conference. This is cool. I got to meet a bunch of new people. Yes. So, our closest genetic relatives do not do that. And the question
Mhm.
is why? What's the difference in both the neuroanatomy and the function of the brain? So as you know, I spent many years studying that and
Mhm.
articulating why humans are so interesting. And I think the insight for economics to me is really the science of decision. So
Yes.
when we look at measuring brain activity while people make decisions, we really begin to understand the variety of the human experience.
Mm. Full disclosure, I have an undergraduate degree also in economics from a teeny tiny university in Cameroon, Central Africa.
Mm.
But after that, I have kind of like put it by the side and I've gone on a completely different side, different direction. But this is so intriguing because most of the modern workplace, we almost cannot survive without meeting strangers. I spent most of the last weekend in Atlanta, Georgia, meeting totally different people that I've never met. So you discovered something you call the moral molecule. Can you explain a little bit about this molecule and how it helps us to build bridges into different cultures, into different places, without having to fear so much that oh my God, this person's going to kill me?
Right, exactly. So we constantly have to balance that fear of being around strangers. They could be unsafe or I don't know, boring, with the value of creating new networks, new experiences, meeting new people, doing projects together, making friendships, falling in love. Right, all those things require meeting strangers. And so when I was really looking at first looking at why people would ever trust a stranger in a tangible, thoughtful way,
Yes.
and there was just a big mystery, right? The view in evolutionary biology is nature is red in tooth and claw. If you have stuff and I want stuff, I should just take it from you. But we seldom see. I mean, it happens occasionally, but actually, it's
Yeah.
very, very rare. Generally, like you, I travel a lot, and I'm helping people get their luggage off the airplane. I'm chatting with people. We're really a friendly species for the
Yes.
most part. So we found that this neurochemical oxytocin, that at the time was only associated with its hormone effects, that is on birth and breastfeeding, but it's released in the brain as well. In fact, it's made in the brain. What was oxytocin doing in the brain? And we created a protocol to actually assess that and showed that explains a large proportion of these positive social behaviors that we see. So if I'm around you, Gideon, and you seem friendly and safe and you smile, my brain releases this neurochemical and it motivates me not only to reduce the stress levels, but to engage with you. And it does that by increasing empathy.
Mm.
So, one reason that we have this, I think, naturalistic, innate moral sense of right and wrong is because if I were to do something that were to hurt you emotionally or physically, and I
Mm.
had empathy, I would feel bad. So, it stops me from doing those bad things.
Mm.
And so, as you know, in my book, The Moral Molecule, we talked about what promotes greater empathy, greater connection, greater moral behaviors, and what inhibits it. And
Yes.
so, by understanding these mechanisms, then we can think about the legal issues. We can think about how we raise children. We can think about how we structure companies and institutions.
Mm. That as you were describing that again, it occurred to me one. I mean, so there's so many examples, but there's one I cannot forget. I was in Shanghai. I went with my debit card on credit card confidently from Singapore. I thought I'll just slot into a ATM machine and pull out cash. Granted, there were ATM machines all over Shanghai, but most of the script was the Mandarin Chinese script,
Mhm.
not in English. So I could not understand what this ADM was saying. So I put the card, could not understand fully what it was. Even though I could speak a bit of Mandarin Chinese, I could not get money out. So what I had my dollar in my pocket was about maybe 100 RMB, but the trip from Shanghai to the airport was considerably more than 100. So I went to the taxi guy, spoke a little bit of Mandarin Chinese, said, I don't think I have enough money. You need to take me to the airport. I was saying that in Mandarin.
Mhm.
When I get to the airport, I'll go into the terminal, I'll draw money, then bring to you because I'm expecting the terminal would have international languages. And sure enough, he took me. We got to Shanghai International Airport. I said to him, this is all I have. Let me go inside and get money. He said, don't worry, go. And he stood there, or he sat there for quite some time. I went inside, withdrew money, and came back out to give this taxi man his money. I was so grateful because he made me feel like I was right at home in Shanghai. And that was the trust of a stranger. Maybe it was my smile, maybe it was my goofy, whatever, whatever.
Right.
I didn't have hair that time, just like now. But there was something about him that was very reassuring. Like, I take you to be a good guy. You bring back my money. I don't have any reason to be worried. So that was a clear manifestation that oxytocin is very, very well alive and in all corners of the world. And
And
you've
it
been,
shows that win-win opportunity, right? He wanted the fair and you wanted to get there. So we both win. So I've heard this described as the double thank you. You
okay.
thank him for being kind and trusting you, and he thanks you because he gets to earn money, as a taxi driver. So that double thank you, which is so common
Mhm.
in our societies, is really a sign that we are connected to other people, not
Yes.
just in a transactional way, but in
Yes.
an emotional way where we are valuing the
Yes.
service that they provide us.
Yes. I think I'm grateful to that guy because he really did not think that I'm some crazy guy that will run away with his money. So he was very, very kind, and it demonstrated the power of oxytocin. And in your book, you've talked about some people who jump onto the train track to rescue someone they don't know. And you
Right.
said it is a powerful force. Obviously, you will not be jumping to rescue if you don't know that person. So I'm trying to look at, are there some ways we can apply it to the modern workplace? Because very often in the modern workplace, people are very like detached. They protect their self-interest. They are very guarded. They don't want to say anything. So corporations struggle because of low turnover. They suffer from they suffer from high turnover. They suffer from lots and lots of problems. Is there a way that modern organizations can help unleash more oxytocin so that teams are more cohesive and people get to work together better?
Thank you for that question. That was the focus of my 2017 book, Trust Factor, that you mentioned,
Mhm.
which is how do we use neuroscience to create high performance teams?
Mhm.
And this was based on 8 years of research in organizations that identified the foundations for an effective culture. So, culture is this big blob.
Yeah.
And we think, okay, what parts of culture accelerate performance? And we found that trust, organizational trust, was a very strong lever for performance. And so we quantified the underlying, turns out, 8 foundations for organizational trust, which are all measurable and can be managed by leaders.
Mhm.
So, just a couple takeaways. The first is that we are social creatures and we follow leaders. And
Mhm.
so, leaders are not going to go away. But if a leader himself or herself is trustworthy, then you're setting the stage for creating this environment. So, again, putting people together, you're always going to have frictions. People have good days and bad days, and trust is like a lubricant.
Yeah.
Gideon, if we've worked together for 5 years and 99% of the time you've been a great colleague, you've been friendly, you've been really nice, then I have this long history of good behavior with you. And then you come in one day and you're cranky. I don't know why. Your dog died or you had a fight with your wife. Who knows? And, I'm not going to put too much weight on that because I have
Yeah.
such a history of that. So we build
Yes.
up trust over time.
Mhm.
And by having an environment where I get to know you, I know you as a person, not just as an employee, where I am communicating clearly as a leader, where I'm very clear on why we're here, what our purpose is. So much more of a shared leadership or coaching model seems to be the most effective way to have high
Yes.
performance teams, clear communication, and also ownership of mistakes.
Mm.
So I think one of the weird things that used to happen, maybe not so much anymore, but still does, is leaders not taking responsibility for
Yep.
mistakes they've made, or by
Yep.
the way, mistakes that their direct reports have made. If you're in a leadership position, you've got to coach people to
Yes.
high performance. You've got to coach teams to high performance. And so ultimately, if you're the leader, you're responsible for everything. And
Yes.
so, things like daily check-ins. I love in my group, we always do the 5-minute standing daily huddle.
Oh,
So
awesome.
standing, because you can't, if you sit down, then you're going to chit chat and you have coffee, whatever. I'm going to be very, very efficient.
Yeah.
There's basically 3 questions. What'd you do yesterday? What's your plan today? And what do you need help with? That's
Mm.
all I really need to know from everybody on my team. And
Powerful questions.
people have milestones. If you're not hitting your milestones, then you're going to spend more time with me and we're going to try to get you back
Yep.
on
Yep.
track or give you more help or swap out the team leader or whatever is going on. And so
Mm.
that really clear communication and that investment in the success of everybody on the team
Yes.
drives performance.
Mm. Because that third question, what do you need help with? It actually conveys empathy. It conveys I care to the other person. And if you're a guy that is struggling and you're like you a young researcher, you don't quite find your way around. If you ask a senior, a more seasoned researcher like yourself, I need help with this, and you say yes, you can help him. I can see the brain really firing in excitement, like yes, 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 yes. I got some help here. I got some hope here. I'm not going to be lost anymore because there's someone to guide me from the side. In the absence of that question, what would be the
But
reverse?
also,
The guy will be,
but also not micromanaging things. So, the pros on my team, the people who are experienced are like, I'm good. I'm on target.
yeah,
Like, great. I'll leave you alone. And that gives me time to do the work I need to do, strategic
exactly.
planning and budgeting and
Yes.
talking to, new funders or whatever. And
Mhm.
so really having this connection between all of us and great
Yes.
care. I think,
Yes.
I think it's still taught in business schools. Like, there's a personal you and there's a professional you, and they never should meet because what is that? You're spending all this energy to put on some crazy
Yeah.
mask because you're trying to pretend like you're a leader. Just be your own self.
Yeah.
And
Human. Yep.
yeah, focus on all doing this work together. So again, one of the great things you can do as a leader is do the worst job first. So it's
Mm.
really important if we're all doing this thing and there's some crummy job to do. I'll take the first shift, right? Because
Okay.
I'm also part of the team here, right? I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
involved. So be on the front lines as a leader, see the customers, know your employees. One of my favorite, I think, great leaders is Jim Senegal, who started Costco.
Yes.
Never took more than $100,000 annual salary. Even his board complained, like, "You're way underpaid." He goes, I got equity. I'm good. Wore that short sleeve white shirt every
Yeah.
day with the name Jim's name
Yep.
tag. Was spend time in the stores, talk to the customers, talk to the employees. People loved this guy, and he built an amazing company.
Yes. I mean, he is leading from a place of I genuinely care about all of you. The problems that you're facing, I'm on the front lines with you. It's almost like that kind of like a Lincoln going to visit the troops on the ground. And as
Right.
a result of that, it raises the morale of the troops because if you're detached, if you're always in the ivory tower, always far away, they don't feel your connection. They don't feel that you care enough about them. If you come to the field, you demonstrate to them that you are one of them, it changes everything. I used to be a fire captain, and they said before you commit a man into the scene, into a rescue area, you better go in first and
Right.
see what is burning. Then you can come out and then instruct them. That was a mantra of the officer training program. Don't commit them into a scene where you don't know what's actually burning. Go in first, come back, and send them in. And it helped to give courage to the men to go in and know that my officer has been in, he saw it, and he knows that it's gonna be okay. So, given the power of oxytocin, do you think that we should start teaching CFOs, CTOs, financial directors, technical directors, engineers, a bit about oxytocin and how it can change the morale of the team? Because it looks like some teams are really struggling.
They are particularly technical people. I think just
Yeah.
by personality type are kind of less warm, less able to be effective leaders. You may know we've created a free app called Six, SIX, that actually measures how effectively you're connecting to people around you. So it's called Six because we've shown in published scientific research that people who have six or more
Mhm.
well-defined high value moments. That value is driven by dopamine and oxytocin that interact with each other.
Mhm.
We can
Mhm.
measure these signals by applying algorithms to data we pull from smartwatches and fitness wearables.
Mhm.
So find out how you're connecting to people. So the app will actually show you, if someone next to you is using it too, how in sync you are physiologically,
Wow.
how well your brains are working. So, if the person is way up here and they're connecting
Mhm.
to you, but you're way down here and you're not connecting back, that's where coaching comes in. That's where
Mm.
training comes in.
Yes.
And I think everybody needs it. I think one of the great examples of that in your neighborhood is Michael Dell, who started Dell Computer.
Yes.
So he had very high turnover, particularly the senior leadership wouldn't last even a year. In
Okay.
the early days of Dell Computer, it's changed a lot now. And anyway, he was at a board meeting one time. It's like, I don't know why, we pay these people really well. We give them stock options. Everybody quits. And finally, a board member said, Michael, it's you. Like, you run over people. You're not nice to people. I mean, he's a genius, right? Very
Yeah.
genius. But, no one wants to work with you because you're just a pain to be around. And to his great credit, he got executive coaching and he learned to close his mouth, right? We have one mouth and two ears, so we should listen twice as much as we talk.
Thank you.
Slow down, let people finish. He would cut people off because he's very smart. He could see where you're going. Let people finish their sentence, right? Don't interrupt. And so he became a much better leader because he was able to have someone assess what he was doing. But now we have technology that will do this privately, and you can learn how to be a better connector. And guess what? People you like, people you value, people you respect, you work harder for them. You're just going to work more effectively.
Yep. So I think I really want us to dig deeper a little bit about that app. Is it available for everybody or is it just for corporations? Maybe tell us about how can some of my viewers who are from Asia, some are from Africa, some are from America, how can they get this special app? And maybe using a family setting. I might need it in my family for sure.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's available in the app on the Play Store. It's free. There's a premium version that's like $12 a month, but you can use the free version. Go for it.
And it's SAX.
SIX. Yeah, SIX.
Okay.
Number 6.
Okay, just like number 6.
And so what it does is a couple things. One is it helps you identify what you value doing the most, working with your team, working on accounting, giving talks. And so you'll learn more about yourself, but also, and it gives you goals to build up your thriving. I want to have 6 of these high value moments a day.
Yes.
We've shown in the published research that people have 3 or fewer high value moments have depressive symptoms. They have low energy and low mood. And so now it gives us a chance to share our data with trusted other people. So I can see my wife or I can see my colleagues. Hey, my friend Bob has only had 1 key moment today. So in the app, I could send him a thumbs up emoji, or God forbid, I could call him up. Okay. Hey, my friend, looks like you're having a tough day. You want to go grab a coffee, right? Or Bob has, 10 key moments. Like, holy crap, you had the best day ever. Let's go have a beer, right? Okay. So it reminds us to connect to others. So I think of this as your grandma in the background, your sweet Cameroonian grandma who says, Gideon, check in with your friends. Make sure they're doing okay. Check in with your colleagues. So it's really a way to support each other to this journey to really thrive, to be fully engaged in life, and to have the satisfaction of doing our jobs and living our lives to the fullest.
Yep. Wow, that's very deep, and that's almost like already leaning in the direction of immersion. I don't know. Are we? Is that already taking us there? Okay. Maybe before we get there, I just want to ask. For people who have to do a lot of public speaking, they have to do pitches, they have a product, they are a founder, they want to pitch, and they're struggling with their storytelling. And you've demonstrated that it's better to use a story to persuade than to get out there and use a nasal spray of oxytocin to increase generosity. When I read that, I was like, oh my God. So there's such a thing as oxytocin spray. I was like, this is incredible. I wish I could just go spray it all over everybody, but that would be illegal. But I can use a story which can still do the same job. So my question is, how can you encourage leaders, especially founders with ideas, to take more time to learn storytelling, because it can help them to spread goodwill and by so doing generate reciprocity from those that they're trying to serve or sell their products to.
Yeah, and ultimately revenue, right? So
absolutely revenue.
So the backstory on this, and this is my 2022 book, Immersion, was in the post 9/11 world. We were under contract with the Department of Defense and some other agencies to identify combinations of signals in the brain that would accurately and consistently predict what people would do after a message or an experience. So the idea was to give warfighters this new superpower called persuasion, but they needed a test bed to figure out like what's persuasive, what's not. Like, how do I know before I try? If you try it, you'll know if it works. But we want to refine these communications before we take them out in the field. And so we spent millions of dollars of taxpayer money to identify these neuroelectrical signals that could be measured that would create a test bed for communication. So I'm going to take a step back. We're social creatures. We persuade each other all the time. That's what we do. We go to conferences, we meet cute guys or cute girls. We're always persuading people. So there's nothing wrong with persuasion. Don't get complicated on that for listeners. So if I'm going to communicate, I want to do it as effectively as possible, right? Because I have some goal. It might just be making a new friend, right? I mean, that's also persuasive. I want to have this person like me, and so we can go, whatever, hang out and play tennis or whatever that is. So what we showed is that there is a valuation network in the brain, which I've called immersion, that captures the value second by second of social emotional experiences. It is the foundation for the 6 app that I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Right? So for the 6 app, we asked, how much social emotional value do you need to really thrive? So for now, we're talking about persuasive communication. So how would I communicate in a way that my brain goes, holy crap, this is really valuable. This is really important.
Yep.
And so this network is measurable. We've created technology, algorithms in the cloud that pull data from smartwatches and fitness wearables and can translate that into what your brain's doing, what your brain's telling your body about how much metabolic energy to invest in this experience that you're having or this piece of content.
Yes.
And because we started with, would a content or an experience provoke action?
Yeah.
I'm not a feelings guy. I'm a behavior guy, right? All I care about is predicting your behavior. I don't care if you like it or not like it. And in fact, we have found in now over 50,000 brain observations that on self-report, people say, oh, I like this commercial or I like this movie, has no relationship, your conscious appraisal, to sales bump from advertising or movie ticket sales or what you remember in a corporate training program. Liking is not the right goal. The goal is, does this shake up your brain so much that you go, oh, wow, this is powerful. This is important to me.
Yes.
I've got to act on this. I've got to share this. I've got to remember it. And neurologic immersion predicts individual and market outcomes with 90% plus accuracy.
Wow.
Over and over and over, because we've captured the holy crap kind of part of the brain, for the wow, if you will. Like, wow, this is really important. And so once you have that mechanism, then you can go back. I'm answering your question now, Gideon. Thank you for being patient. I can go back and ask, well, how can I structure and deliver a piece of content that creates that wow experience in which you need to act on it? And just through happenstance, by measuring just tons of content, we have found that a narrative arc is the most effective way to sustain immersion. So immersion is metabolically costly. My brain has a strong tendency just to idle, it's so hungry. I'm just going to cruise. And so when you see this immersion, this big metabolic investment, it's that wow response and storytelling in which I introduce characters into a setting and they have some kind of tension or crisis. As social creatures, we're fascinated by what humans do, because that's how we learn, right? That's why we have not run out of movies or novels or stories, podcasts,
Never.
like this. So by measuring that immersion, then we found that human scale story with true emotion, authentic emotion, in which individuals resolve some kind of crisis, is the most effective way to influence people to take an action by creating high levels of neurologic immersion. And again, that's measurable in the 6 apps. So for anybody who wants that, you can just try your story out and just look at your phone. It'll tell you in real time how effectively you are creating that experience.
Oh, that would be such a big one, because I know you had mentioned about that app, but I did not know that it would be able to help me even evaluate my story, because I'm going to be speaking in Chicago over the weekend. I should be able to evaluate my story before going there. My presentation is to pharmacists to be sure that what I'm saying, it can move them. It can get them to be excited or to lean in and really listen, because it's one thing for them to be present. It's another thing in the presence of this. They could easily say, oh, this guy's boring. This guy got no hair, got no beard, no mustache. I would rather listen to somebody,
right,
Justin Bieber or somebody from Hollywood. So now you're saying we can test our stories with the 6 app even before we step out into the world.
Yes, exactly right. And in fact, you can actually, the app will let you put a QR code up and you can invite the audience for free to measure their own responses. And you'll see for free immediately How good was my experience?
Whew,
Super easy.
this I'm gonna take this on the road, Dr. Zach. I'm gonna take this on the road. I
Good.
will be telling audiences about it because I've recommended Moral Molecule dozens and dozens and dozens of times. But this app now is gonna be the next frontier for me because it helps me to empower others to learn what I've spent almost 20 years learning. And it's by sheer luck that I started learning storytelling in 2004 in Singapore. It's not like I knew that it was important. So by the time I saw your book, it was a validation of what I've been working on in the shadows that I realized this is so powerful. So I know we have to start wrapping up here. You did do a lot of work in different communities. You went to England, you went to Papua New Guinea. So what we're saying here is this is not unique to humans from one particular civilization or the other, because some people may say, oh, Gideon, what you're saying, it doesn't work for engineers, but I've always been saying, no, it does work for everyone because we are all wired in the most, to the most part, in a similar way.
Yeah, and we're very adaptable, right? So, by the way, this is my app today. I've already got 8 of my out of my 6 goals. I got 8 already. So, thank you very much for giving me some nice key moments. I'm having such a nice time with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is really important for the CFOs, for the engineers.
Mhm.
We are more effective when we are better communicators, when we're better connectors, and we all can be trained to do that
Mhm.
with coaching, with great storytelling.
Mhm.
There was research published by Harvard Business School maybe 10 years ago
Mhm.
showing that engineers in Silicon Valley who spent more time socializing were
Mhm.
more productive. Well, how can
Mhm.
that be the case? It's
Wow.
because they had built those social ties.
Yeah.
So they would chat, oh, how are you, Gideon? Good, how are you? And then when they had a problem, they needed help, they knew who to talk to. They had built those
Exactly.
relationships.
Wow.
And so that socializing is important. So now it tells us about return to office, which I think has been a little bit controversial.
Yes.
We really need to be around other people. So I'm working at home today, but yesterday I was in the office. I had
Okay.
such a good time seeing my students, seeing my dean, really people that I just value and enjoy. And so I think best practice looks like at least 3 days a week in the office. We look at
Mhm.
the data and it looks like the most common day is Wednesday, and then Tuesday and Thursday we see people. And then people want to work at home Monday and Friday, which kind of makes sense.
Mm.
For business leaders, clear communication, great storytelling, physically being together is actually
Mhm.
very important for effective teams.
That personal touch, it's so important, and is that probably why they call you Dr. Love, because when you hug people, they say there's an air hug. I don't feel it. It's not
No.
as authentic as a real person hug, because you can tell when it's genuine. So, Dr. Zach, this is the last one. I know
Yeah.
I don't want to abuse this. So, if someone is telling a story that should touch on all the key elements of the narrative arc, what kind of story should we tell? Is it a story that is fascinating, funny, hysterical? Is it a story that makes us cringe, like, oh my God, how's he gonna get out of that? What would be the best kind of story that you can tell for fundraising, or to move people to abandon an old way and move in a new direction?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a great question. So the first is to open hot. So our brains are just doing so much to keep us upright, breathing, and conscious. Give me a hot open, right? So that's really important. That the again, it's driven by dopamine and oxytocin. Dopamine responds to the new thing. Something's happening, so I got to kick in some resources to begin to process that. So don't start slow, and don't also the delivery matters. If I'm talking really soft, it says it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you guys, this is crazy. Let me
Yeah.
tell you about one of our most important employees or our most important customers, or a person that needed our help for our charity. And so it's going to be human scale. It's going to be delivered with energy. It's going to be genuine. So I don't want to make up a story. I might combine a couple people's story to make it clearer, but I want to make sure it's human scale. It's not data. It's not 40,000 people are going to die if you don't do this. It's going to be, here's a customer that needs our help. So it's a customer I spoke to yesterday. Her name was Susan. And what she found was that she was spending 20 hours a week doing counting that our software, which is AI enabled, can do in 2 hours.
Mm.
Susan has no life. She's stressed out. We're going to help her by showing her how to use our software, and it's only $25 a month. Okay, so
Wow.
that sounds like a pretty good pitch, right? So
Yes.
I could refine that for sure. I just made that up.
No.
But, talking about that particular person, why they have a problem, why her family life sucks. She never sees her kids because she never gets home before 8 p.m.
Mm.
Susan is suffering, and our job as service providers, as business people, is to reduce your pain, reduce your suffering, make your life better.
Oh my God, that is amazing. I could see it go up like that. There's complete resolution there. I feel it. And I started to think about this poor Susan. She needs help. So that's what you already did with that. And I know that time is of essence. If somebody is hungry for knowledge, they want to know more about your research, about your discoveries, where should they go to find that knowledge? Because I cannot get enough of what you put out into the
Well,
world.
let's do this again sometime. You're awesome, Gideon. So you can go to Get Immersion, immersion with an I, getimmersion.com. You can get the 6 app there. You can find all this stuff. I post all my stuff online. So you have just tons of free stuff you can download from the science and find the books and all that. So bless you. Thank you for having me on.
And yes, a lot of TEDx and TED Talks. For those who are curious, if you want to find out more about Dr. Zach, go check out his TED Talks, get immersed from there, and go deeper and deeper. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the work you do and you put out into the world. I really appreciate this time with you, sir.
Of course. Thank you.